All right, guys, you'll finally get some action from one of these guys. This is Rayden, and she tends to move quite a bit outside. So you'll finally get to see a snake in motion. She is a T-positive matrix blood python. She is the mother to the two T-positive ivories that you've seen. The father has been on the channel before. I don't know that I did a meet the collection with him. I think he was just on a video about some subject, one episode. Rayden is one of those cases where she was a wonderful, wonderful snake. Great to handle. I mean, I have pictures back in the day of me laying my head on top of her. We had a great relationship. Then she had eggs. She's never been the same animal since. She's healthy. She does everything great. She eats wonderfully. Her temperament is not the same anymore. She can be okay at times, but she's much more reactive. She's much less tolerant of me. And inside, she often will throw a fit going back into her cage or coming out of her cage, any kind of transition. The sun really washes her out, but she is a pretty red animal. But it kind of stinks because, like I said, her and I used to have a really great relationship. And now it's iffy at best. You know, my trust for her is not what it used to be. I can still pick her up and move her, but she will thrash. Sometimes she will open her mouth and try to bite. And that was just never her prior to laying eggs. And that's not the first time that I've heard of that happening. I know several other people that have ran into similar situations with animals. So I don't know what it is. You know, some chemical gets unbalanced or something along those lines, and it just changes the animal a bit. But something happens that, you know, seems to change their personality. And I've seen it with a couple of animals now, with a couple of different situations. Now, since this is Meet the Collection, Rayden is a cold-blooded earth line animal from Nick at CBE. I believe she's a 2014, but don't hold the gun to my head. She's only had one clutch, though I bred her 3 seasons in a row. The third one she finally took. I did threaten to evict her, so that seemed to work for what that's worth. I actually got her secondhand through Jason Chapman, and she's just a wonderful, wonderful animal. And obviously she made great babies. So I'm hoping to breed her this season again. I'm going to be putting a little weight on her. She's at a perfect pet weight right now, but for breeding, I want to put maybe a pound or so on her or close to it. May not even be a pound ultimately, but I just want to get a little more fat storage in that tail before breeding her. But we have several months now, so that doesn't require any extra feeding. Just her normal feeding will get it done. Now, with her being T-positive albino, T-positive is a little less affected by the sun than the T-negative, at least in my understanding of it. I still like to bring them out when there's an option of sun and shade. So you see the sun over there, shade over here. I'll usually put her near the edge of where it is and let her make the decision. And she usually won't sit in the sun very long, although none of my animals really do. They seem to maybe go out for a brief moment, maybe periscope a little bit, and then usually they'll end up in the shade most of the time. These guys like to be in cover, so I think sometimes just the shade kind of gives them a little more feeling of that. But yeah, I'm hoping either one of 2 2018 males will be ready for her. It'll either be the T-positive 007 or the T-positive Batik. So that way I can shoot for either, you know, T-positive ivories or T-positive golden ivories, or shoot for T-positive matrix with nice red color. Since all of these animals are from lineage that's nice and red. I'll try to get a close-up of her, but chances are she'll probably pull away. Ooh, just gave it the stink eye. You can see she's very still, assessing the situation. Body language is not bad though. She's not being huffy or anything. You just saw the little truck driver head snap there. Now she's pulling back and she's decided to go the other way. Most of the time, these animals, given the option to go the other way or come at you, when they get in that situation, almost always they're going to go the other way. There are a few that just want to fight because, you know, that's just who they are. She's not a bad girl even now with the changes in personality, but the old Rayden, I could have stuck my hand out and scratched her chin and pet her head, picked her up, thrown her on my shoulder. She's just not that animal anymore. She's much more independent now and much more quick to lose her patience with a handling situation, which is why I said several times in other videos that I would do a meet the collection on her when I could go outside so I can let her be her. She doesn't want to sit with me in a chair. I don't know what just startled her there. She bumped into something she's not sure about. But it really stinks to have an animal that, you know, you once were able to trust completely and now you have to kind of watch yourself with. It's much less fun. But she's a beautiful example of a blood python and what their body shape should be. The dorsal striping makes it a little hard to see her spine definition. She doesn't have a ton of definition, but it is there. That line just kind of throws it off a bit. But she is, you know, like I said, she's ideal pet weight right now. If you were just keeping as a pet, this is what you want. There could be a little bit more weight in the back end. The reason she's so light right now is she just pooped. So there's nothing in her system right now. She's totally empty. So 2 or 3 meals from now, she'll look thicker. And then what I want to get her to is where she takes her next poop before the breeding season and she's a little bit thicker than she is now. And that'll be perfect. You know, right now, if I were to breed her at this weight, feed her through the breeding season, she'd probably end up throwing like a 12 egg clutch. She's an animal that's definitely capable of a 15 to 18 egg clutch. She's not a huge blood python. She's probably in the 5 foot range, maybe 5 and change. I've never actually run a line on her and measured her. I'll have to get her out here with the big T-positive girl one day so you guys can see the difference with the two of them. Because she would be more your average size blood python these days, whereas that other girl is the upper echelon nowadays. They used to be up in the 8 foot range. You just don't really see it anymore. Are you scaring yourself with the grass? But you can see she definitely has some nice color. Hopefully it's translating on the video in that matrix pattern, which is a little hard to decipher on her. Some matrices have a lot more of a pixelated pattern than she does. And obviously you can't use the pink tongue because she's albino. But in her case, regardless, we know that she's matrix because she's thrown ivory babies, which if she wasn't, she wouldn't be able to do. So her and the male are both proven in that regard. But a lot of people go by the eye stripe there. I'm not really good at picking stuff like that out from the babies. Let's see how close I need to see the side of your face. There you go. Getting too close. But she is a really cool animal. She's an animal that I'm very proud to have. I wish the situation I acquired her was a little bit better. I don't think Jason ever wanted to move from her when he did. He was just in a pickle there where he had to move some animals. But she's just fantastic and I adore her. Even though she doesn't adore me so much these days, I adore her. So I just take it in stride. You know, if she doesn't want to hang out in my lap, I don't make her hang out in my lap. It's really that simple. People feel this need to force what they want on these animals, and it's really not fair. You can tell the animals that are good with it, and you can tell the ones that aren't. They give you the body language. They let you know, especially if you're not using flooding and you're actually building a trusting relationship. Now, I could probably spend a lot more time with her, even just doing this stuff outside, and get back to where we were. But with the amount of animals that I have, I don't necessarily have the individual time to do that she would take to really get back to that level. And she may never. It's hard to know what causes this. Like I said, it could be some kind of, you know, chemical in her body that was triggered during the breeding process. And so now her mind just works a little bit different. You know, we really don't understand these animals enough to know. But those of you that have had children know, you know, women's bodies sometimes change forever via pregnancy. Sometimes temporarily, you get gestational diabetes, things like that. I'm not anthropomorphizing and saying that's what happens in snakes. It's the same thing. Just giving you an example that's a little more tangible that you might understand. There's so many changes that go on in the female body for reproduction, and sometimes those changes are permanent and sometimes they go back. Sometimes they take a long time to go back. You know, and we don't fully understand it in people, let alone these guys. There's so much more to learn and so much more we will learn over time. But right now there's not a pressing amount of studies done on them. We get few and far between. Most of the information we're getting these days is to stop invasives. And as annoying of a problem as invasives are, it's helping us learn a lot. So in that sense, I am thankful that that research is being done, because we have information now available to us that we never had in the past. And we may not have had for a long time or ever had it not been for that situation. So sometimes you got to look at the positives of a negative situation and appreciate the fact that even though it's a sad situation and it's not good, we are learning from it. And that's important. This day and age, people don't seem to want to learn from anything. They just want to erase it and move on. And that doesn't help us. It helps us to learn and to grow and to change and to evolve, whatever word you want to use. But I'm just happy we finally got one of these guys that actually moves around. I knew bringing her out, she would not disappoint. Generally, every time I bring her out here, she's fairly active. She's not necessarily, you know, stressed or anything, but she's just a mover. Eventually, sometimes she will find a spot and hunker down for a while, and, you know, as I talk about it, here she goes. But generally speaking, she likes to move around a lot. She'll periscope a little, but not as much as somebody like Orion or his father did. And now I don't know how much those kind of habits can be genetic, because Orion does it a lot, and so did his father, so does his sister. So it might be something there to where these little behavioral idiosyncrasies are inheritable in some sense, or at least the proneness to that behavior might be there more so than in other animals. You know, populations from different isolated areas evolve a little bit differently to capitalize on their individual environment. So sometimes that behavior might be important wherever that particular line of snakes is from, whereas another line, maybe it's not as important. And so things like that could be getting passed down even through captive breeding. Like I said, we just don't understand enough to really know what's going on. You look at, you know, alligators down in Louisiana that only during egret nesting season are out collecting sticks and using the sticks as bait for the egrets. And that's a learned behavior within a population where the other animals have learned from each other, whether it's observational learning or whether it's passed down from, you know, parents to offspring, and they just kind of have that knowledge from their parents. You know, we don't know exactly what's going on there, but it's very interesting to see stuff like that. And that's the kind of stuff I really enjoy to learn. I'm going to cut this short because this video is getting really long. At least hopefully the information on here was worth the watch. Let me know what you think, of course. Don't forget to subscribe. Also, we are getting close to live videos, so if you don't have the little bell notifications on, I would do that. That way you're able to participate in those live videos if you'd like to. As soon as I'm able to go live, whatever video I do close to that, I will set a date and time, hopefully, for the first one, and then we can kind of discuss, you know, some things that you guys want to see and whatever else, and maybe do something exciting here and there. And then if you have those notifications on, you won't miss maybe a cool video. I don't know how live videos work. I don't know if they're available afterwards or only when they're live, or if it's my choice how I post them. I am really, really not tech savvy, as you guys all know from watching this channel. You're lucky I can upload videos. But that'll be coming soon, and hopefully you guys are enjoying the content. I am thinking about maybe cutting down to 2 videos a week and then mixing in an occasional live. You know, you guys can let me know what you think, if you like the 3 a week or if you think 2 a week is a little bit more doable for most people. Rayden is now officially hunkered down, so we'll cut this short. We'll see you guys. I know I said I'm going to cut it short a minute ago, and here we are, but that's just who I am. I appreciate everybody that stays and watches these, especially to the end. The longer that you watch the videos and the more time you spend on YouTube after you watch my videos helps them get promoted and helps them get seen, and hopefully the channel can grow that way. Thank you guys. We'll see you.